Alright, spawning in the bottom, right in the blue. Representing Alpha X here in this grand finals, taking a marathon path there. He is Astrea. And his opponent in the upper left, in the red. Representing Kaitza Gaming, give it up for Solar. So Solar has already won one PvZ tonight. He 3-1'd Max Packs. Astrea has already won or I guess Solar's already won one ZVP. Astrea has already won a PvZ after he 2-1'd Armani, and apparently he should have 2-0'd. From what I've heard, Game 2 was a bit of a botched hold. So we have seen both players show tremendous skill in the matchup. Max Packs, well, he plays against Raynor and Sir all the time. You know his PvZ is good. And Armani, he's got some pretty good ZVP as well. So, I do think Solar is favored in this matchup. I don't think it's super clean cut. Probably not. Ligulac's probably going to say it's going to be like a 70-30 in a best of 5. But I don't think it's probably more like a 60-40. So let's see, what does the Ligulac say about the potential results in a best of 5? Yes, it says Solar's got like a 70, ooh, that's actually surprising. It says Solar's 80-20 chance to win. 30% chance it's going to be a 3-0. 30% chance it's going to be 3-1, and a 20% chance it's going to be a 3-2. So that is a significant margin that Solar has. But also, Solar and Astrea have played each other a good bit. So they have played a grand total of 50 games against each other, which is actually kind of surprising. That's more than you see like Hurricane play against Dream, for example. So, surprised to see they are so such cross-server rivals. Although I guess Astrea did live in Korea for a while, as he's going for a glaive build here in this game number 1. Which, hey, it's a good way to open on up, set the tempo for the game, but again, I'm not the biggest fan of... Oh, never mind, it's going to be Dark Shrine. I like this more. Not necessarily because, you know, I think it's more powerful, but it's unexpected. A lot of the things that Solar will be seeing right now were kind of telegraphed that it's a adept build. Now, if he's able to see the gas in the main base, sees how much gas is mined, that will be a tell for him. But other than that, he's not really going to have to, well... He's going to be expecting glaives, right? Seeing the quicker warp gate and just considering how this matchup does tend to get played. So we will have 2 more gates on the way. So it's going to be 3 gate DT. So DT drops into Archon drops. You all are familiar. And Solar, he does have a Roach run on the way, which is nice. It does allow you to defend against this. But the question is whether we will have detection. A lot of players have started skipping detection against the assumed Zealot attack because, I mean, or assumed Adept attack because why do you need detection? It's Adepts. So this is actually going to be really nice here for Astrea. I believe he moved on the map with a couple of, yeah, so, oh, I love how he's selling this. He's actually moving out on the map with a couple of Adepts too. As he's trying to sell this idea that, yeah, it's an Adept timing. Okay, but now this will be scouted. So now Solar, he has some detection on the way. It's not here yet, and if the, oh man, if only Astrea knew. Only Astrea knew at the lack of the detection there, and actually he should be able to notice by how heavily we're seeing the body blocks of Solar move on in. So the third base, though, ooh, the third base is vulnerable indeed. But Astrea, he says, okay, I'd just rather kill some of your, oh, Astrea, kill the third base. Okay, he's just going to kill off some of these roaches and these queen. Oh, nice. Yeah, he's just going to kill off a lot of everything. Yeah, there's detection where the bases are, but there's no detection where the bases are not. And now, well, the detection has been finalized here. Solar, or Astrea, he's going to be fine, but look at, oh, you know what? There's not a lot here to defend this Spore, so 2 workers will go on down. But Solar for his part says, okay, look, you've been rather cheeky. I'm going to try to get something done with this. But he's not really going to be all that successful. We're going to have sentries warped on in, and that's going to be able to delay this for just about forever and a day. As these DTs, they're trying to get something done, but I think we've passed the point where the DTs are useful, so we should see a fourth one get warped. Well, as I say that, DTs are going to get on in here, and this... Oh, the Spore is going to... Nope, never mind. But hey, 2 more workers do go down. Okay. I keep feeling like Astrea is in a really good position to snipe a Spore. But I guess he's maybe a little bit afraid of the lair being done and then committing to the Spore and then not getting the damage he needs. But there we go. We do have Archons on the way behind this. And that being said, this Warp Prism is very low. So that's got to be a little bit ballsy with your decisions on how you're going to micro all of that. But behind this, we do have Charge. We have +1. We have Immortals on the way. So it's going to be Charge-led Archon behind this. And this is most likely going to be a 3-base timing out of Astrea. I don't think you want to go super late with this composition. Now, he may use it to leverage himself on into an actual late-game Protoss composition, but well, we're just going to have to see. As these Zerglings, of course, they're sharking around. They have not been able to find much yet. They did force a couple sentries, and that was maybe gas that Solar didn't want to spend, or... Sorry, Astrea didn't want to spend. But at the end of the day, it's going to be pretty fine. And with these Adepts here, yeah, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot of room. So we have Roach Speed on the way, as this Archon continues to try to find what damage it can. At the very least, knocking down some of these Zerglings. It's going to be nice, right? Prevent some of the counterattack damage that Solar has been looking for, by the way, for this entire game. But here's what I'm worried about. All right, this is the scary thing. It's not the Zerglings. I mean, they are scary, sure, but it is the Roach-ling Ravager attack that is obviously incoming. Solar is never going to let an opponent open a Twilight game without trying to put some pressure on it. But now there are Immortals here. Nice force fields, but Zerglings will get on top of the Immortals first and foremost, and the wall is going to be closed. Yeah, this is not going to work here for Solar, I don't think. Not with these Archons, not with the Charge Lots, not with +1 just about done, and not with 3, soon to be 4 Immortals. I mean, Solar's going to try to make it work, and he is continuing to rally Roaches across the map here, but as long as Astrea does not eat the meatiest of biles, he's actually going to be in a really good shot here. These force fields are going to be fantastic. Archon's doing a fantastic job of keeping the Zerglings off, but no, it looks like Solar, he's going to be able to punch on through just a little bit. These biles will not land, though, and it's 4 Immortals. It's soon going to be 5. Right, that's a difficult thing to deal with. So now we will have the Roaches. They will be forced on back. The biles are not going to land, and Astrea, he's not going to have too much difficulty holding that. Of course, behind this, we do have a Templar Archives on the way. We do have one more DT warping on in. I don't know if that's for her. Yeah, okay, that's actually going to be for harassment. One DT is going to run across the map, try to get something done. But now we blink on the way. More and more Immortal. We're going to have to like 6 Immortals here. And we do have a Templar Archives on the map as well. So Astrea's army is rapidly becoming incredibly powerful. And Astrea, or Solar for his part, he's only on 62 workers. I mean, he cut workers for this. And considering he was not able to kill Astrea, that's not looking all that great there for our Korean Zerg player. Now, he does have his 4th base on the way. He does have a Baneling Nest on the way. He has upgrades, all of those fun things. Does Astrea please kill that Changeling? No, Astrea will not kill that Changeling. Oh, hey, the Zergling, or the Zealots, oh, they're going to get a Queen and 3 drones. That's actually going to be really nice. Queens are such a big bounty here in ZVP because, again, you have less production, you have less creep spread, you have less healing, all of that fun stuff. So this Zealot actually, yeah, that one Zealot will even be saved. Saving Private Zealot. As we do have, okay, Storm's going to be on the way here. Astrea pretty content to turtle on 4 bases. He maybe had some room to move out on the map and punish Solar after that botched attack from Solar, but that's a little bit tricky. We saw Nice try to do that in Game 3 against Solar and Game 1 against Solar, and it just barely didn't work. Solar very good at defending when he really probably shouldn't. So he does have his 4th base now done. He's got a worker lead. He has Baneling speed on the way, +1 ranged as well. So he's building a powerful army. Don't get me wrong. But for the moment here, Astrea, he's equal in army split. He's going to have Storm. He's going to have Blink. He's going to have +2. This is a powerful, this is a terrifying ground pounding army. Now, eventually Solar, once he stops building drones, he will be able to get on into that worker production once again, or the army production once again, and start to build that supply lead, as we're going to start to see rather soon. But up until that point, Astrea's got a terrifying army, and he will not hesitate to use it with extreme skill with extreme tenacity here. Now he's moving out onto creep. Do we have any detection to knock down those creep timbers? Yes, we do. It's always so hard to see the observers. Even as I'm the observer, and they're not, they don't have detection. They effectively do have detection. But anyway, now we do have the army of Astrea going to come crushing on in. Storms are going to knock down a lot of these banelings. Biles are not going to be all that great, but they still land somewhat well. But that's just going to be a GG Astrea. Just like that, he takes game 1. So yeah, Astrea says, okay, well, I'm going to do a DT drop, and he actually got some significant damage. He didn't kill a lot of probes. He got like 4 or 5 drones. But what he did do is he delayed the economy there of Solar. He killed off a queen or 2, and all of that did allow Astrea behind that to get his 3rd base, to go on in and get his immortals on up. He had like 4 immortals by the time that Solar was making that push happen. And immortals against roaches, I mean, that's a tale as old as time, a tale as dark as rhyme. War Prism and the Beast. Something like that. So we have game number 2. It's going to be on Oxide. It's going to be a bit smaller of a map. Probably not going to be what... well, I was the last one on that one. Jeez. Thought I hit that one pretty quickly. Anyway. This is going to be a bit smaller of a map. Maybe we don't see Astrea try something similar. Because, again, the natural to natural rush distance is just a little bit shorter. But maybe we might, right? Because, again, rush distance is rather short, so you can maybe get stuff across the map a little bit sooner. It's kind of a, I don't know, 6 one way, half dozen the other. You can take advantage of these short rush distances to get some aggressive openers. But also, if you do take advantage of it and you fail, you can get punished really hard. More so than you otherwise would. So, that's kind of the calculus there. But now we do have game number 2. It's loaded on up. Astrea, surprisingly, with the 1-0 lead. Let's see whether we can make it 2, or whether Solar will fight back. Let's get on into game 2. Spawning in the upper right in the blue, of course, representing Alpha X. 1-0, 1 game to his name. He is Astrea. And his opponent in the bottom left-hand side of the map in the red. Representing Kitesa Gaming, trying to equalize this score to take us to a best of 3. He is Solar. So Astrea went for a rather anachronistic build in game number 1. And it worked out for him, right? He got some damage done with the DTs. He was able to keep his 3rd base up. And then he just had a bunch of sentries and a bunch of immortals. And, well, we all know how good that is against roaches. So we're going to have to see whether he goes for something similar, whether he just goes the Stargate build. I mean, the Stargate build is a little bit better on this map than it is on Lightshade. Your 3rd base is a little bit safer. So we might see Astrea opt into that. And we know he does like Stargate in, like, maybe not in PvT, but in the other 2 matchups, he is a big fan of Stargate play. So, of course, the timing that we're looking at. Once again, 220. Well, actually, honestly, right now. Will there be a Stargate? Nope, it will be Warp Gate first, once again. So, Astrea, he's not doing the standard style. Unless he does go for a trap build where it's Warp Gate into Stargate, which is always possible. Nope, it's going to be Twilight once again. So, Astrea, again, he's straying away from the standard Stargate style that has been so popular in this matchup. But I think that's fair. Solar is probably one of the best players in the world at really breaking Stargate play. Maybe Raynor as well. Probably Raynor as well. Raynor is the best player in the world. Even though Legulac still says Cyril's the best player in the world. Clem's 2 and Raynor's 3. Because Raynor lost to Hyperion in a qualifier. That being said, we do have a... Twilight's just about done. Adept's going to try to shade on in here. See what it can get done. But the answer is really nothing. And we do have a Robo on the way, so I think this is going to be the Glaive build. Yeah, there we go. It's going to be Glaives, but I like the series planning here from Astrea, because in game number 1, he showed what should have been a Glaive build, and it wasn't. So that does mean... what do I mean? Surprisingly, I do think Solar is very favored in this matchup, Sushi. Eligulac says it's 80-20. So the fact that Astrea made that the game number 1 look so easy is good for him. And I'm very happy to see it, but it's not the expected outcome. The expected outcome, honestly, is like Solar 3-1. Maybe even 3-0. At least that's what Eligulac says. But anyway, we do, of course, we have gateways on the way. We have Glaives on the way as well. And this is Astrea just going for that kind of standard Zest-esque Glaives build. But, you know, this is, again, a slightly anachronistic style. He's going to get DTs behind this. So the goal here is, A, to put the fear of God in Solar. And he's already starting to get a little bit afraid. We do have a Spore going down on the 3rd base. But that's only 1 Spore, and DTs can be anywhere they want to be. Especially with a Warp Prism. So now the Adepts are going to come across the map here. It is that 4 minutes and 30 seconds mark that does mean Glaives will complete. But up until then, these Adepts are not... I mean, they're good against Zerglings, but they're not great against Zerglings. So we have more and more Zerglings on the way. Solar... His Roach Warren, it's not late, but it is going to be late for the first level of push here. So, honestly, Solar, though, he's going for the DRG defense with the Spine, with the Queens, with the Zerglings. And that's fine for Astrea, because all he's got to do is force a lot of stuff and hope that there are no Spores. Granted, there's only 1 Spore here in the... actually, there's really only 1 Spore for Solar in this entire game. So now we're going to have Warp-Ins come on in. Zerglings are going to sit on top of this. And Astrea's just not going to do that for the time being. I do like the idea of maybe warping in elsewhere and dropping them in. There we go. DTs are going to get warped on in. It's only going to be 1. Meanwhile, Adepts are going to dive on into the 3rd base. No, they won't. But we do have Spores on the way in all mineral lines. So this is just going to get nothing done here from Astrea. Unfortunately for him, he's going to get some Zerglings, sure, but it's not going to be much more than that. Look at all this body blocking here from Solar. That being said, he's going to get a couple drones and then just back on out. Says, okay, you know what? I'm just going to do what I can. Sit here where there is no detection. And hey, 2 more workers will go down. Oh, he's going to get a queen. No, there are transfuses. Okay, Solar paying attention to this. And now there's a lair on the way. You know what? There's a bit of a room here. A bit of room for these DTs to maybe get something done behind the mineral line. But these DTs actually will be able to get some tremendous damage. The Queens are doing a good job of zoning this out. But now, well, okay, where's the detection? Does that have that detection range? Jeez, I didn't think it did. I thought the range was a little bit shorter. So anyways, Astrea has lost 2 DTs, but I think that's the grand total of what he's lost in this game. So notionally, he's in a good spot. Right, he only lost 2 DTs. He was able to kill off 5 workers. He didn't lose any of his Adepts, but he did commit hard to the Adept play. And with that being the case, well, Solar's going to be allowed to grow. Right, Solar's going to be allowed to grow on into whatever he wants to do, as we do have the lair just about done. We do have the Evo Chamber just about done, and I think what we're going to see here is like a +1 Roach timing. Roach Ravager timing is going to be the kind of the name of the game here for Solar. Hey, look, Astrea, he gets another drone, so that's a total of 6 now. But, I mean, does that really matter when Solar can build 8 at a time? Not really. That being said, of course, he will scout this 4th base on the way. And he could theoretically warp in a couple DTs and try to kill that off, but there's just, he does not know the state of the Overseers at this point in the game. And it's going to be a Spire here for Solar. I really do like this. Right, because Astrea has committed to this ground style. He committed to it in the game against Armani. And, well, he committed to it in game number 1. And, well, Mutas are very good against Char slots. They're very good against Immortals. They're very good against everything on the ground that's not a Stalker or an Archon. And I guess notionally a High Templar too if the Storms do land properly. So if you get a lot of Mutas, well, Astrea's army here is going to be a little bit sad, as he does seem to be favoring this ground-based style, which really fell out of the meta strictly because of the, well, A, because Ling Bane, right? Char slots against Ling Bane, good luck. But also because of the quick lurker style that we've seen Protoss player or Zerg player start to do. But now we have this big attack coming on in here. It's a decent amount of Zealots. Is there charge? Yes, there is charge. So Zealot +1, charge, a bunch of Immortals. That one Adept will go on down. But now, hey, now we have a run-by coming into the natural, but with the Immortals here and the Zealots, yeah, this run-by is not going to get a whole hell of a letdown. Meanwhile, of course, we do have a fight on the left-hand side here, and it looks like this fight will go on into Solar's favor. There we go, Recall coming on in here. So most of this army should survive. I think one sentry did die, but now, well, Zealots will find these Zerglings, Zerglings will find these Zealots, but the 4th base will stay alive. But Solar's doing a fantastic job of continuously trading with Astrea, making it so that it's hard for Astrea to move across the map and get the damage done that he wants. But now we have more Zealots are going to get warped on in, and 1 DT as well, as the Queens are going to try to knock this Warp Prison down. They will be unsuccessful, but of course, Mutas are on the field, so that's going to be the end of that. That being said, though, I mean, these Queens are starting to take some significant damage. This DT is doing a lot, and now, more importantly, Astrea will scout the Mutas. He's like, okay, you got Mutas here. I need to react. We, of course, immediately see a cannon in each mineral line. We should see some shield batteries go down as well, just to keep those cannons alive. And now Solar, he's going for the attack. He does have a 40 army supply lead. His army is better, probably. It's certainly more expensive, but, you know, again, the longer this goes on, the worse it's going to be here for Solar. Now, this base is going to get canceled. Astrea, he understands what he can and cannot do with this composition. He understands he absolutely cannot hold this base. And actually, he's not even going to be able to hold this +2. The Mutas are just going to target that down. With the Stalkers here, they're just going to jump on top of them as well. We're going to have to see a bunch more Stalkers get warped on in. And with Blink here, they will be able to ward everything back. But now, this army here on the front, that's actually a powerful one too. But there are 5 Immortals and a couple Archons. Oh, actually, 1 less Archon now. But this is looking doable for Astrea, as a bunch of Mutas will go on down. Yes, 6 more probes have died. And yes, Astrea is down in army rather significantly. But his army is good against the army of Solar. And Solar, he has a lot of supply inefficient units. It's a lot of Ravagers, which, I mean, they're 3 supply each for 150 total resources, something like that. So, the Mutas, they're going to try to shirk around, do what they can. But this is a really nice concave here from Solar, and as long as the Zerglings don't get on, or from Astrea, excuse me, and so as long as the Zerglings don't get on top of this army, or the Mutas don't dive on the left-hand side, which honestly, with the Archons, that's not maybe the best deal here, Astrea has a shot. Now the Mutas now going to dive on top of this because the Archon is dead, and these Immortals are just going to go on down, and this is the point that Astrea has been fearing, that Solar has been looking for. The Archons, well, all the Immortals, excuse me, they're going to go on down, so now it's just a bunch of Blink Stalkers against the world, just a bunch of charge lots against the world, and that is not looking all that enticing here for Astrea. He's going to try to make this hold happen, but Solar is just breaking him, and indeed, there we have it, GG. Solar, he's going to take game 2, and now we're going to move on into game 3. As Sushi's gonna, you know, yell angry things at me any minute now because I said I was surprised that Astrea went up to a 1-0 lead. All right, so there we go. We have our... Well, we have our 3rd game in this series getting on, ready to go. All the casters are in, but Astrea has asked for a 2nd. And I understand it. Again, these are crazy games. These are crazy long games. So now we have game number 3. It's getting ready. It's just about here. As we do have the countdown, game number 3 will be on Juggernaut. It's going to be the longest map in the pool. So maybe not the biggest. I don't know what the other maps are, but certainly the longest map. That being said, though, the rest distance not that much longer than the rest of them, of course, because of the speed zones. And Solar loves, if you do opt, if you have the temerity to go for a Stargate build. Queens, Roaches, Ravagers on into your 3rd base. Let's just go kill you. Solar loves to do that, and I very rarely see him lose with that style. So we're going to have to see exactly what he's going to be on up to here, as we do have our game number 3. It's loaded on up. Let's go. Spawning in the upper right in the blue. Of course, representing Alpha X, trying to take this championship home for his team and for himself. Protoss around the world. He is Astrea. And his opponent in the bottom left in the red. One of the ringers for Kites of Gaming. Give it up for Solar. And man, it's funny. I feel so awkward saying like, oh yeah, he's one of the ringers for Kites of Gaming, as if like, oh, it's not that impressive. Kites of Gaming is like literally just, I mean, you have Innovation, you have Solar, and you have, who am I forgetting? Yeah, you have Time as well. Kites of Gaming won the Golden Team Challenge last fall off of just having tons of aces. I mean, Solar can ace any game, Innovation can ace any game, and Time won the most important ace match for his team in Golden Team Challenge. So honestly, that's a terrifying team. So it feels weird to say, yeah, he's just one of the ringers, but realistically, he is. He's a strong player, absolutely, but saying he is the best player on that team, it's just not true. Because, I mean, you got Innovation, you got Time, you got, forgetting someone, I think. Yeah, it's just Innovation, Solar, and Time, actually, in terms of, like, they're really top players. So it looks like it's going to be... Oh, never mind. There's Warp Gate on the way. This could still be Warp Gate into Stargate, and that is exactly what it is. We have the Trap build, ladies and gentlemen. This is the build that Trap won 2 tournaments with at the start of this year. Right? As yeah, we're pointing that out here. So this is the build that Trap won multiple tournaments with. It's pretty cool for a couple reasons. You get Stargate, or you get your Warp Gate at a normal time, which does allow you to really defend that third base with ground-based units, if that is what you so choose. On top of that, you still get the Stargate. You still get your second Stargate at a normal timing. So that, of course, makes it really useful for you to go on in and get on into your Void Rays, whatever you want to do, but you have that Warp Gate faster, which means you're less vulnerable to early pressure builds. And on top of that, it's harder for the Zerg to scout. The normal, whatever, the normal things that Zergs look for when they look to see whether you went Stargate or not is whether you did get your Warp Gate at like 220. Anything later than that, they know okay, it's a Stargate build. But with this build, Astrea gets his Warp Gate at 220, or like 215, and he still gets his Stargate out at a decent timing. Now he does this by cutting probes a little bit, but it's fine. Oracle's going to be out at 330 anyways. What this means is Astrea, he's going to have his Warp Gate at normal timing. He has Oracles on the way. He's going to be able to maybe get some damage done, and he's going to be in a good spot to defend his third base at 350. Now, there's a reason, of course, that we do see Protoss players starting to go backing into Stargate into Warp Gate. Mainly, I believe, because you have a little bit better economy, and you get your Stargate units just a little bit faster. But here's the thing, right? Astrea, it's 4 minutes. He's not shown a desire to take a third base. Actually, as I say that, he's going to take a third base now at like 410. But he's going double Oracle. And double Oracle is normally a harbinger of the fact that Astrea is not going into Stargate tech, right? Yes, he has the Stargate units, to be sure, but there's a difference between buying 2 Oracles and going into that committed Stargate style that Trap won multiple tournaments with. So we will have the Oracles paired with the Adepts kind of come on in here. And actually, there's just nothing here from Solar to defend this. So yeah, the Oracles or the Adepts are going to find their way on in, and a couple workers will go on down. Oracle's not really doing all that much, though. You would kind of expect to see them find their way on into another mineral line or try to get some damage done there. And they will be unsuccessful. But now, hey, the Adepts are going to find their way on into the main base, and a couple more drones are going to go down. 4 is the magic number. If they get anything more than that, very happy. But no, it's just going to be 4. Behind this, Astrea does have a Twilight on the way, does have a Forge on the way. So is this +1, and there we go. So it's going to be a Robo as well. So +1 Blink Stalker Immortal, I guess, is going to be the name of the game here. And it's pretty cool how we've seen a lot of Protoss players really start innovating off of this kind of Stargate opener that has been, again, so popular. It has been winning games. It has been looking very good. But Zerg players have been starting to innovate. Finally, they've started to deal with this in ways that are more than just, yes, haha, Queen, Roach Walk. That's what we're going to do. Now, I think that's what we're going to see Solar do in this game, based off the number of Roaches and Zerglings and Queens that are on the map and on the way. We are going up to 7 Queens. But, well, Zerg players have other ways to deal with this, and therefore the Protoss players need to learn to innovate. They need to learn to adapt. So it will be +1 Blink Stalkers on the way. I don't know if that's going to really matter, though, as the Queens are starting to walk. And how many gateways do we have? We have 2. We have 2 more on the way. But none of this tech that Astrea has bought will really help him make this hold. And honestly, Astrea, I think it's just getting caught with his pants down. I mean, it's a cool build. And if Solar was going to do something a little bit later timed, maybe that would work. But Blink's not going to be done. +1's not going to be done. There are very few, really, any sort of army units on the map at this point. That being said, of course, the Stasis Trap's very nice, but that will get biled on down. And look at this. The Oracles will be able to get on top of one of these Ravagers, but hey, you have Queens. You have Transfuser. That's not a big deal. So now the Zerglings are going to try to get on top of things. Nice Stasis Trap. Will be able to keep these Stalkers alive for the time being. And of course, what Astrea is working on here is says, look, I need to buy time for my Blink. I need to buy time for my +1. I need to buy time for the rest of my gateways to really allow me to do what I want to do. As right now, he's only warping in 2 Stalkers at a time. He's not building anything out of his Robo. That being said, the supply gap is closing. It's not great. It's still +20. It's still +30, but it was +40. So we will have to see whether maybe, just maybe, Astrea can make the hold here as more and more of the static defense is starting to go down. But the army on the left-hand side for Astrea is growing, and he's able to retreat to a decent amount of photon cannons and shield batteries. So that's somewhat decent for the time being, as the rest of these shield batteries, well, they're going to be depowered. That's unfortunate for Astrea. It was Artosis Pylon, and actually that's going to be get the Robo as well. However, Blink is done in 12 seconds. +1 is done in 10. It's only a 30 supply deficit. It's not a 40. But here's the thing. Right, Astrea can only warp in off of 2 gateways. He's starting to build a bit of a bank because he just can't warp in. Right, he was hit with an Artosis Pylon. This Robo is going to start to go on down. And yes, +1 is done, Blink is done, and that's a powerful composition. But I just don't know that Astrea is going to be able to build as much as he needs. He's starting to lose a bunch of probes as well. 21 probes have died. And yeah, these Roaches, these Ravagers, these Queens are pretty much, well, they are perilous to attack on into. They are pretty much untargetable at this point. I mean, you can try, but Astrea just cannot build the army that he needs because he just doesn't have the production. As we see, the bank is building on up, and he just has not had the time to go build a couple more gateways. And now they're going to come on in, but not before he loses his natural, not before he loses 26 workers, and not before his opponent is going to start to find his way on into the main base. Now, behind this, of course, Solar says, okay, you know what? Honestly, I've gotten enough damage done. I don't really care if I kill you right now. In fact, trying to go kill you right now may be an overcommitment. So we do, of course, have a couple drones on the way. Solar's getting on up into 50-odd workers. That being said, though, more and more Zerglings and Roaches on the way. So that actually was a bit of a misread. A bit of a miscall. But anyway, the rest of these Ravagers will go on down, and the Queens will die as well. So for the moment, we do have Astrea with supply parity. As this last Queen, I don't know what it's doing left. It's going to sit here. We finally do have supply parity for a brief period of time, but there's no Robo, so there's no Warp Prism, which means Astrea cannot move out on the map, which means Solar is 200% safe. He's going to get his 4th base, he's just going to drone up as hard as he wants, get into whatever tech he wants, and Astrea really can't do much about that. All he can do is hope to retake his natural, rebuild his probe count, maybe get into +2, and go from there. But, you know, we're getting shades a little bit of Nice versus Solar from game number 1 of that quarterfinals, where a Solar did tremendous damage, but Nice had upgrades. Solar did not, and Nice eventually was able to build this army that honestly did almost break Solar if Nice had not lost, you know, ludicrous amounts of drones, had not lost 2 bases worth of income. So that may be what we're going to see here. So the Robo is now back on the way. Here's the difference, though. Astrea lost a lot more than Nice did. Astrea lost a base, he lost 26 workers, and that means he's just not going to be able to build up his army nearly as powerful as he would like. He also lost production. So now he's sitting here on 6 gates. He will have a 7th up soon. So finally, he will have that production he needs off of 3 bases. But for the time being, I mean, he is just reeling from the damage that he did take. And he doesn't even have Immortals. Like, we saw Nice actually make a hold like this in a similar situation, but he had like 4 Immortals, right? He was able to build the Immortals that he needed to make the hold happen. Solar, he's just going to come flooding across the map. Lots of Zerglings, lots of Roaches, no upgrades because he doesn't really need them. Quantity over quality at this point, as he's almost tripling the army supply of Solar. Now, these Oracles may be able to get something done. So, do we have any Queens with this army? Yes, we do. So the Queens are waddling, and that's going to be a bit of a problem. So now the Zerglings are going to try to find their way on into the natural, but nice place here from the Stalkers. We'll be able to keep things alive for the time being. That being said, though, this Robo, yeah, there's going to be no Robo in this game. It's all going to be on Blink Stalkers and the Micro that Astrea does have with the Sentries as well. And oh no, he's going to eat a Bile already. We will have a bunch of Zerglings and a bunch of Roaches. We'll find their way on into the main base. +2 is done in 5 seconds. But I worry that it will not matter. Here's the Roaches and the Zerglings are just going to town in the main base into the natural. Yeah, Astrea is mining up at the third base. That's great. But he's literally getting tripled in army supply. And he's starting to lose a lot of workers. He can barely even deal with the army in the main base, much less the army at his front base here. He's going to lose his natural once again. And I think this is just the beginning of, well, I think this is the end here for Astrea in this game. He got punished by Solar a little bit too hard. His tech didn't really work out all that well, and now Solar's going to come streaming on in here. Zerglings, Roaches, Ravagers, actually just primarily Ravagers, are going to be the name of the game. The static defense is starting to go down, and Solar, well, he has more than enough. I mean, to Astrea's credit, he's starting to equalize the supplies just a little. It's now, oh, never mind. I was going to say for a moment there, it's only like double the army supply instead of triple, but double, triple, I don't really know how much you're supposed to do there, unfortunately, for Astrea. I mean, he's going to try to blink this one out, but that's just going to be it. GG. Solar, he's going to take a 2-1 lead. And now we're 1 game away from a champion, potentially. But Astrea showed he can do things in game number 1. He showed he can absolutely take victories if given the chance. So we're going to have to see what he has in mind here for our fourth game. Whatever it will be. So we're just waiting for that map to get made on up, and you know what? We may be done soon. We may not be. I hope we're not. I want to see Game 5, as much as I also want to sleep. But I do want to see Game 5. There we go. Beckett Industries will be our 4th map. And, I'd argue that this is a good map for Astrea. Right, it's a short rush distance, which means it's not great for a Zerg. The Zerg is realistically only entitled to like 5 bases. Ish. 4, 5. It's kind of hard to take the 2 outlying bases. And you can kind of get your 3 bases pretty easily. So, notionally, this is a good map for Astrea, but we saw what Solar did on Juggernaut. We saw what he did on Oxide, which are theoretically maps that are going to would be good for Astrea. But we do have our potentially last game, certainly our 4th game, loaded on up. Solar with the 2-1 lead. And we're going to have to see what's just going to happen here in our 4th game of this Grand Finals. Here we are, spawning in the bottom left. In the blue, of course, representing Alpha X. Give it up for Astrea. And his opponent in the upper right. In the red, representing Kaitza Gaming, 1 game from victory here in this ESL Open Cup number 68. He is Solar. And I have really not seen a lot of ZVPs on Beckett just yet. I mean, I've seen the sadness that is a ZVT, but look at this, Solar. He's not going to let Astrea get away with anything. He says, oh, time to proxy a hatchery. That sounds like fun. He's going to build, of course, his first hatchery on the other side of the map. But here's what we're looking at. Does he build his natural... Does he put a hatchery there, or does he drop a pool? Okay, so it's going to be hatch gas pool, but hatch is going to be on the other side of the map. So this is going to be some roach tech coming on in from Solar here. As he's going to try to just kill Astrea right here, right now. It says it's pretty late here for Astrea. I think it's like, it's like just about 1 o'clock here, which actually, I think it's like 11 No, it's actually 1 o'clock in the... I think it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 12 in the afternoon. I forget exactly how many hours Korea is behind. You'd think I would know that because I have to build my schedule around a lot of different Korean events. But it's like 11, 12, 13 hours behind. And that is a bit of a problem. Well, not a problem, but Solar, I'm sure he wants to go to bed. Has probably been doing stuff all night because well, generally that's what happens. We actually had Armani forfeit out of the semifinals when he went down 2-0 to Cure last week because he's like, look, it's 11 a.m. my time, and I think that was like at 10 o'clock, so maybe it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon here for Solar. But okay, no, it's just going to be Zerglings, and yeah, this is not going to be any sort of roach attack that I kind of thought it was. So a couple Zerglings will find their way out onto the map here, but we're not even going to see a queen for that cheeky little creep tumor. And this is I'm surprised we're only seeing one of those larvae get used, but a couple Zerglings are going to find their way out into the main base. At the very least, they're going to get a scout off. But 2 Zerglings, they don't really fight anything all that well. And, well, oh, look at that. Oh, nice Broodling Micro. That probe will go on down, which means it's just going to delay any prospect of a natural that much longer. And that, oh, Solar, that's what he was doing. Delaying building. Oh, look at this. This is so cheeky here. So he doesn't want these Zerglings. He's going to cancel them when they are done. But what he's doing is he's just delaying this natural from going down even more. And just by eggs. I mean, eggs are never going to die to a couple Zealots. Actually, no, the Zerglings will complete this time. But they're Adepts here, so they're not going to get anything done. Anyway, good job there from Solar. Making it so Astrea does not get his natural here until like 350. Or at 320, I guess. But now he's going to go to a Stargate behind this. And I do like that. I mean, Solar, he's not going to have as many queens. That's kind of a given, considering the fact that he only had one hatchery for so long, and his second hatch actually a bit of a problem. But now we do have the Adepts. They're going to get on in, and 3 workers go down. Adepts will get on out. Jesus. This map is so short. Like, this map is ludicrously short. One Adept Shade pretty much covers the entire map with the speed zones and everything else. I'm not okay with that. That is actually absolutely disgusting. That doesn't... No. That's not okay. But anyway, we will have the natural here for Astrea just about done. And, I mean, Astrea, he's had good probe production. He does have a probe lead for now. We will have this Oracle flying across the map. And do we have any spores? We have 1 in the main base, just about done. Nothing going on into the natural, though. And how many queens are here? It's just the 1. Don't know why that moves so fast. So this Oracle actually has some tremendous damage potential, as I say that. The queen spawns right at the perfect time. So it's not going to get a lot done here as the drones are going to get pulled on top of these queens. But hey, three workers. Okay. It's going to be a good deal here for Astrea, getting pretty much as much as he can, as he got 3 workers earlier. So 6 drones have died off of a not all that macro setup for Solar thus far. I mean, he built his natural in his bone space to delay that Nexus. But now, Astrea, he's going to get his third just about a minute later than he would normally like to. But I think we're just about a minute delayed in the game timings anyway, so that's going to work out as this Oracle's going to get a little bit more damage done. 2 more workers go down. Astrea does a really good job of just getting this little chip damage with his Oracles, with his Adepts. Finding those positions where, well, maybe Solar's not paying too much attention. Or Solar's not in the perfect position. And that does give him license to get a little bit more damage done. So we'll go Oracle, Void Ray, Oracle, which is a bit interesting. Normally, you kind of commit to one or the other. But this is going to be a single Stargate build, right? We have a Forge on the way. We have a Twilight on the way. And if I was a betting man, I would think Astrea would be going for a timing here. Right? The map is too short. The map is too choked off for you not to go for such a thing. Really, the question, though, is what does he do? Most likely, it's going to be Blink. But we have seen some charge builds, some +1 charge builds work. He loves to do it in PvP on occasion. It worked out for him against Skillis in game number 5. It does seem to be his back against the wall kind of standby. So maybe we'll see him do that here in this game number 4. Because, again, I mean, he's got to win. He's got to win this game. It's not like, oh, yeah, I can hold back my best strats, and on the off chance that my opponent doesn't do something, this is kind of a game he's got to win. So now the Zerglings are going to come flooding on in here, and this is, look, this map is so ludicrously short. There's already creep pretty much outside of the third base here of Astrea, and it's literally 3 screens from third base to third base. So with the speed zones as well, I mean, this is just going to be, if it's going to be a queen walk, which it might be. There are 6 queens. Bunch of roaches and ravagers on the way. this is a queen walk, I mean, this is just going to be so hard to stop because the queens, their creeps are already here, right? Like, it's not like a slow waddle. This is ludicrous. But now we have the roaches and the queens. They will find this wall. And Mr. Zorbachev tear down this wall. Now the roaches and raptors are going to get on top of things. Of course, Blinken +1 is on the way. But we're kind of in a similar situation like we were in the last game. Oh, look at this. The queens are starting to go on down. And once the queens die, I mean, that is going to be a little bit of a problem. Now Zerglings are going to get surrounded on top of all of these sentries, but that's not going to be all that great. And you know what? This is not nearly the supply lead that we did see Astrea having to deal with in the previous game. And this is looking a little bit better for Solar. That being said, I mean, the resupply time is a whole hell of a lot faster. That's a big problem. It's more just roaches, ravagers, queens, whatever Solar wants. It's much easier for him to find his way on into this base of Astrea. But, I mean, Astrea, he's getting closer. His supply is getting a whole hell of a lot closer here, and he will get Immortals out in this game. Now, unless I guess the Biles are really good. But we will see at least one Immortal go on up here. The Stasis Trap's not going to get a whole hell of a lot on in. And we will see, so there we go, shield batteries will go on down. This Immortal is getting under some significant duress, but we are starting to see the workers here from Astrea going down. But again, he is up 10 workers, so he can afford to lose a couple here. But now the Zerglings are going to come spilling on in. These are slow warpins, which means they are dead warpins. The cannons are going to start to go on down as well. But again, Astrea, he's starting to equalize. Solar is running out of steam. As good as this did look for him, and it has looked good, and it still continues to kind of look good. It does feel like Solar is just maybe running out of steam just a little bit here, as we do have another Immortal on the way. One Stasis Trap, or one Shield Battery, excuse me, does remain, although that's going to get biled on down. And now there are more Queens here. That means, of course, the Oracles can't do a whole lot more anymore. But Solar, yeah, I don't know, right? This feels like he's running out of steam, but also it feels like Astrea is just running out of just a little bit. Right, we do have, well, we will have a second Immortal, though. +1 is done, Blink is done. All of these things are incredibly auspicious here for Solar. He's trying to, or for Astrea, he's trying to make this hold happen, and he's getting really close to making it. Of course, he's not really mining off of his third base, but neither is Solar. I mean, Solar, he's on 41 workers. This is as all-in as you can, I mean, not as all-in as you can get, but pretty damn close. The Zerglings are going to get on top of these Immortals. They will not be successful, not yet. The Pylon's going to go down at the last, no, well, okay, we're just going to wait for some more Biles, but this is going to be, this is going to be massive. So, this is an Artosis Pylon. Not really an Artosis Pylon, it's just the only Pylon that was powering this. Everything else has gone down. So now the Immortals that are here are the only Immortals that will exist. Immortals are going to start to go on down, but now we have a Shield Battery Overcharge, and a Void Ray is here now. There's only one Queen. Only one Queen against this one Void Ray, and with a Shield Battery, this may be the hold that Astrea was looking for. Just barely, yes. Astrea, he's going to make the hold. He has outlasted the Storm here, and now he's got a supply lead. Now he has a 5-worker lead. His army is better. His supply is better. He's going to be able to mine off of that third base. And Solar, he's going to run out of steam with these 2 Immortals. And with these Blink Stalkers and this single Void Ray that Astrea had the presence of mind to make at the end of this hold. It is exactly what he is going to need. So we have sentries getting warped in now as well. So, well, as I say that, I'm like, yeah, Astrea's got the hold, but now Zergling counterattack on into the main base, into the natural. The wall is down. And this is really problematic here. This is a big problem for Astrea. He held on by the skin of his teeth. He can really not afford to lose anything that he is losing right now. Now, a couple sentries, actually no sentries were going down. Only 8 probes do die. Astrea still does have a worker lead. And now look at him. He is removing so much creep here from the map. And oh, hey, Dricket. This is welcome. This has been a long broadcast. We are approaching our 6-hour mark here for ESL Open Cup North America. Not as bad as what Steadfast has done, because I believe he did Europe as well, but you know, I was working on controls all day, and I did ITAX this morning, so it was certainly a taxing day. But anyway, we do now have Solar moving out on the map once again, but his army supply is not all that. It's not all that. The creep is also not nearly as impressive as it once was, as there are only 3 queens here. Which, by the way, it's 3 queens for 1 Void Ray, so, man, that's going to be good enough. But it's +1 Blink Stalker, +2 is just about done. Astrea, I want to say he's weathered the storm. Yes, it is going to be one last-ditch effort here from Solar. One last push into the breach. Road to 300. Theirs was not to do it. Anyway, I'm forgetting the lyrics. Thank you, Tennyson. But now we will have the Roaches, the Ravagers. They're going to try to find their way on in. The probes are going to start to take some damage, but really the probes don't matter. I mean, they do, and you want to make sure you have an economy, but Astrea has and will continue to have a worker lead. It's all about this army. It's all about this army that Astrea has been able to build, and all about this army that Solar is looking to break. But it looks like Solar more and more, he's losing his queens, he's losing his roaches, he's losing his ravagers. +2 is not even done yet, but it will not matter. Astrea, he's going to make the hold, and ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to Game 5. What a hold there from Astrea. A fantastic hold indeed. Man, he looks good. But it does mean we're going to have one last game for all the marbles. First place for $100. Wait, was it first place for 100? You think I would know that? First place for 200. There we go. 200, 100, 50, 50. It's a $400 prize pool. That's what I'm missing. That's what I'm forgetting. It's totally fine. I thought the prize pool went down to 200 this year. I thought they only upped it for 2020 for the 10th anniversary. Apparently not. First move is advantage. First in. There we go. Okay, now Astrea's got to win. Now Astrea has got to win indeed. So we're Astrea's going to take a second. So now we're just waiting here for Astrea to give the ready to go. Hey, thank you. Look at that. Tricket, thank you so much. I thought you were talking about the final series. I didn't think you were talking about, I thought you were talking about the total series, not just the game. But thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot. I appreciate that. I know. I'm taking it. I'm surprised. That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Dricket. All right, so Astrea's ready, Solar's ready. This is going to be the last game of this entire series. It's going to be Solar. It's going to be Solar. It's going to be Astrea. Astrea's taking games number 1 and 4. Solar's taking 2 and 3. Both players look fantastic. And now, it's going to be 2,000 atmospheres for our last game. I am expecting this to end with fireworks and with pizzazz and with drama. Because certainly, every series I've cast tonight, pretty much from the round of 16 onwards, has been absolutely insane. So I expect this one to be no different, as now we do have our final map of this series. The final map of the entire day. It's loaded on up. It is 2,000 atmospheres. Let's go. Here we are spawning in the upper right in the blue, of course, representing Alpha X. Give it up for Astrea. And his opponent in the bottom left in the red, representing Kaitza Gaming, looking to take another ESL Open Cup to his name. Give it up for Solar. And now, man, Astrea's gotta win now if Dricket's gonna gift more subs. I mean, that's the way it works. Dricket, I appreciate your attempt to get Sushi to fight in a sub war, but I mean, Sushi already pays me for other stuff, so it's fine. Maybe I should just take all the money that I get for other things. Yeah, I mean, it's a killer, but it's ESL rules. Maybe I should just reinvest a portion of what Sushi pays me on into gifted subs, so my sub count gets higher, so I can look better. Anyway, we do have now this 5th and final game. Solar, he's not doing something crazy. He's not, in fact, going to hatch block, as I have no idea what Steadfast is doing. He's showing off the number of bases, I guess, as that is, what are there, 4, 8 bases, so 16 bases on the side, not quite as big as Ice and Chrome, which is 18. Which was, by the way, the biggest map we've seen in, I don't even want to know how long. Which is kind of sad, because I did enjoy Ice and Chrome. It was not great at first. It was very mechy. It kind of felt painful to play. But we did start to see some really good games. As we got really towards the end of that season, but it was too little too late. Ice and Chrome was removed, and, well, there we go. But Astrea, is he going for Stargate? Looks like that answer is yes. 150 gas, Stargate. Okay, yeah. So we'll be a Stargate build from Astrea here in this 5th and final game. Oh man, the banter in the chat. It's unfortunate it's 2 minutes delayed because I can't really interact with it. So anyway, it's gonna be a Stargate here as Dricket's got them fighting words coming on, but you know, hey, if you want to do that, be my guest. I'm not gonna complain. I would probably pay for a new microphone. That being said, so this is again a Stargate build from Astrea. I do like this build on this map. It is a relatively long rush distance, and it is somewhat easy to take a 3rd base. It's rather choked off. So that does actually, it's really even easier than I think of it, because of course you do have that kind of high ground platform with the 3 bases. So with that being said, Astrea, he's not going to struggle to really keep his base. Not really. Although I don't like, oh, this is not a good wall. I mean, it's going to work out, but that is a very exposed second gateway, which does make him vulnerable to a couple things. However, Solar's not really going to go for any sort of speedling all-in, and, you know, honestly, exposed gateways, unless it's a speedling all-in, doesn't really matter, because the gateway's going to die anyways for the most part. So, no big deal there, as now Astrea does have his 3rd base on the way. 350, that's the timing. And now the question, though, is it single Stargate, is it double Stargate? With the 2nd Oracle on the way, it looks like it will be single Stargate. Which really begs the question, where does Astrea go from here? Is it +1 Blink Stalkers, like he's shown a couple times? Or is it charged? Is it Glaive Adepts? I don't think we're going to see that. That seems a little bit too weird. But again, I mean, Astrea has looked good in this matchup against Armani, against Solar, and I'm just really curious to see what his idea of the optimal way to play on this map is. Because it's certainly not double Stargate, which, you know, honestly, it's kind of fallen out of the meta just a little bit. At least with players like Astrea that do tend to be a little bit more creative. But there we go, Forged Twilight. Okay, so it's most likely going to be Blinking +1 out of this as well, and we should see a Robo getting started as well, as these Oracles are really going to get nothing done, and it's kind of a shame that Astrea is going to go for double Oracle and really not get a lot, but he still does have time. He still has time to maybe get something done here. But now the Oracles, no, never mind. The Adepts on into the natural, they will get some damage done. This is the 2nd time that Astrea has been able to do this. 4 workers go down, 5 workers go down for 2 Adepts. Yeah, that is extreme value added here. And yeah, there we go. An Oracle will get a 6th. So that is far more than you expect to get from that, as we do have, oh, it's going to be +1 charge here with Immortals. So actually Astrea is going to look to hit a rather powerful timing. Charge is a much faster upgrade. So that does mean you can be out on the map with it faster, and it's going to be, we should see a Templar Archives get added on in, and I think it's just going to be Immortal Charge Loud Archon. And, I mean, we saw how good he looked against Armani with this style, and there we go. Templar Archives on the way, a couple additional gateways, and this Void Ray is going to eventually kill off these Zerglings if Solar doesn't move them, but there they go, they're going to move, and I like this from Solar very much. So he's going to go for a Spire behind this. He says, look, I've seen you do this before, Astrea. Because I believe we saw Astrea do this in a game in this series as well. I've seen you do this before. I know what's up. You're going to build a bunch of units that don't shoot up. You're going to have a really powerful ground army. Great. Good for you. I'm going to build 20 mutants. And that's not going to be all that great for you. Now, we will probably see Blink behind us. And Archons are somewhat good against mutants if they can catch them, which is always a problem. But here's the other worry, right? As these 8 gates do finish up, as charge does finish up, Astrea may be looking to hit just a very powerful timing before Solar is really able to get those mutas out. And sure, then, you know, you might get some mutas out on the map. But if you have a massive army here from Astrea finding its way on into your natural, well, that's not going to be all that great. Look at this, Astrea. Okay, so he sees the Spire, and he will go on into Phoenix behind this. But we see a second Stargate, though. Single Stargate Phoenix against mutas doesn't often feel all that great. But anyway, this big army, of course, from Astrea is building on up. +1's just about done. Charge is done. We have a Warp Prism done. We do have Archons on the way. So, or Archons done, excuse me. So we're going to have to see just how committed Astrea will be towards this tech. Right, just committed to this attack, or whether he does commit to it at all. Because it does appear to me to be like he wants to get something done, but he's also scouted the Spire. And when you scout the Spire, you're like, okay, maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I just want to make sure that I don't lose too much, because you got to remember, Solar has been using the Spire as an all-in tool more than he has a actual harassment and late-game tool. So Solar actually is not even going to build anything with the Spire. This one Phoenix, yeah, I like this actually from Astrea. He only builds the one Phoenix to say, oh yeah, I'm aware that what you're doing. Be not afraid. Don't build those mutas. Or I guess be afraid. Don't build those mutas. But Solar, instead, he's just going for a massive ground attack. And Astrea is aware of this, by the way. He saw that his Robo was gooped, and that does tell him that, okay, there we go, the Oracle's going to go down. But that does tell him that, okay, there's a big ground attack coming. You're probably not going for mutas behind this, because why do you care about Immortals? You want me to make Immortals if you are, in fact, going for mutas, because, again, Immortals are terrible against anything in the air. But now certainly mainly Roach Ravagers are going to come on in. Storm is not done yet, and that is a big problem. But now one Immortal is going to get targeted down immediately. Second one's going to pop out and going to go. Actually, no, it will be saved here. And that is going to be the one saving grace here for Astrea. As this push, I don't feel like Astrea saw it coming. So now it's a massive army supply lead, 70 army supply lead coming on in from Solar. And I am not exactly sure what Astrea is supposed to do here. Now his +1 is going to be done at some, or his +2 is going to be done at some point. Charge Loss getting on top of those. The Ravagers are going to be powerful, and Storm is going to be done sooner rather than later. Once you get Storm online, that is maybe where this hold does happen. And Storm is now done right now, so the Ravagers are going to take some tremendous damage here from the Storms. As there we go. Now we're starting to see the Storms land on in. I think there's maybe one more. No, it's just going to be an Archon. Was that enough, though? The probes are going to have to be pulled as, what is that, like 11 Zealots are getting warped on in. But it looks like barely, just barely, Astrea is not going to have enough to blunt the first attack, and that means the follow-up is going to be powerful indeed. Now, these Phoenix, they were just a waste of minerals, a waste of gas, a waste of space. They will try to lift some of these queens to keep, well, the Voidary is going to die to a bunch of miles anyways. And as well as Astrea has played in this entire series, this attack from Solar just caught him off guard. He thought he saw Spire, and it was not Spire whatsoever. Now, we do have a couple Adepts getting, except a couple Zealots getting damage done on the other side of the map, and that is nice. That is, actually, you know what? If there's going to be any way that Astrea can make this hold happen, which most likely he doesn't as he loses the Warp Prism, if there's some way he can make this hold happen, even as with him losing that third base, he's only down 13 workers, but he's just not going to hold the natural, right? That's the big deal. Is, oh, the +2 is going to be delayed with 8 seconds left. And there we go. GG. Solar, he's going to be your champion today.